What's going on, everybody? J-How here, and in this video I'm going to cover a monk build that is absolutely incredible, does a ton of damage, and it's going to utilize the Sunwuko set, which you might be familiar with if you played the last patch, although the rest of the gear that you're going to use is quite different. And we're going to go ahead and go over the skills here real quick, and I'll come back around and let you know how it's going to work together. I'll go over the gear that you're going to need, go over the Paragon points. I'm going to show you a little bit of gameplay, so make sure and stick around for that, and we'll show you how this is going to work. For the skills, you're going to have Wave of Light with Pillar of the Ancients, Dashing Strike with Quicksilver, Exploding Palm with Shocking Grasp, Mystic Ally with Air Ally, Epiphany with Desert Shroud, Sweeping Wind with Inner Storm, and for your passives, Exalted Soul, Harmony, Beacon of Etar, and Unity. Now this is a Bells build, and it's going to be a lightning build, and what we're using here is Wave of Light with Pillar of the Ancient. This is going to do a ton of damage. It's going to hit 635% weapon damage as fire, followed by 785% weapon damage as lightning over 3 seconds to the enemies that remain in that area. That's actually really incredible, and there's a lot of good synergy with this build, and we'll go over that. Dashing Strike with Quicksilver. Now you don't necessarily have to run with Quicksilver here. You can actually pick any one you want. We're just going to leave this here. We get the extra charges there. This is one of those ways we can get in and out of danger. That's going to be one of those things. It's more of a safety net, as well as, you know, just getting to where you need to go. Exploding Palm with Shocking Grasp. Now this is another main skill that you're going to be using. Now Exploding Palm is going to be doing a ton of damage. You're going to basically tag a few things, and in this case it's going to be lower health enemies, and we'll go over that in the gameplay section. And it's going to explode upon their death, and stuff is just going to be exploding all over the place, and we'll show you that in action. With the Shocking Grasp rune here, Exploding Palm arcs up to 15 yards to another target. That's pretty incredible. Mystic Ally with Air Ally. The main thing with this, a Mystic Ally fights by your side that increases your spirit regeneration by 4. Now if you look closely, I have 2, and we'll go over that in the gear here in a second. Epiphany with Desert Shroud, because this is going to reduce damage taken by 50%. And if you look here, increasing your spirit regeneration per second by 20, and enabling your melee attacks to instantly dash to your target for 15 seconds. So that can be a good thing. You can get in there, take some damage, you know, get in those tough battles, get in there, kind of absorb some of that 50%. It's on a 60-second cooldown, but with Beacon of Etar and some other cooldown reduction, that comes around pretty quickly, which is a very nice thing to have. Last up, Sweeping Wind with Inner Storm. Now, Inner Storm here, as long as your Vortex is at 3 or more stacks, you gain 8 spirit per second. Now, this you want to try and keep refreshed. You're going to be using the Tagux Legendary Gem. Now, for those of you that are out there that are top tier chasing leaderboards, there's actually a little bit, I don't want to call it a hack, but it's basically an automate program to where you can actually have something spam this for you. It's just something built. You can download it on Windows. I'm not going to go into that, but it's a way to keep this refreshed, keep this up at all times, keep your Tagux going at all times. The whole thing with this is that it costs 75 spirit. However, we're going to go over a couple pieces of gear that's going to change that in a very important part. As a matter of fact, we're going to go ahead and cover that. Sweeping Wind costs 75 spirit. However, you're going to be running Innas here, and you'll see in the 3-piece bonus there, reduces resource cost of Sweeping Wind by 70 spirit. Now it's very important if you're using the Tagux, and you'll see that we have that in the ring here, that you do not go above 6.6% resource cost reduction. And you'll see that we actually have that in our Paragon points there. The reason for that is that you take that 6.6% off of the 75, and then it reduces the cost by 70 here on your Innas, and therefore it allows you to continue to just spam, and you can see I can just spam Sweeping Wind over and over, and it just is only going to cost 1 spirit. If you have too much resource cost reduction, it doesn't cost enough to keep our Tagux up. And if you see, our Tagux is now climbing higher and higher and higher and higher, which is basically a permanent damage increase, and you can actually see that's going on here. So it's very important that you keep that in mind. You're going to be using the Innas bonus here, and then you're also going to be using Sweeping Wind as much as possible to keep your Tagux up. And so it's very important to keep an eye on your resource cost reduction and make sure that doesn't go above 6.6%, else it's just going to not spam anything because it doesn't cost anything. So getting that Tagux up along with that kind of automate thing. If you do have any questions about that, feel free to leave that below. Might be able to get some information for you. I'm trying to do this so you don't have to do that. If you're not using it, make sure and keep Sweeping Wind up. Get that extra resource cost reduction, and if you want, go ahead and keep spamming that so you can get your Taeguks going. Now, as far as the passives go, Exalted Soul, this is just for a little bit more spirit regen. You don't really need a ton, especially with Ennas, and you're going to be casting bells. And with the torch there, everything's going to be okay, but every little bit helps, especially if you're clearing very quickly. Harmony, very important. 40% of your single elemental resistances are going to go to your resist to all elements, so that's a pretty nice thing to have there defensive-wise. Beacon of Etar, the cooldown reduction goes a long way with Epiphany, so that's a good thing to have there. Unity, now this is another one that you need to kind of pay attention to because each affected ally, or each ally affected by your mantras increases your damage by 5% up to a maximum of 20% and has 5% increased damage. Now what you're going to see here is I'm at 1.16 million, and if we take that off, you're going to say, wait a minute, how did you lose damage? Well, those allies actually count because we have a follower and we have both of our mystic allies there, so that actually counts. You'll see our damage goes right back up there. Now we're going to cover the gear because there's some very important pieces here that are going to make this build work. The Incense Torch of the Grand Temple. Now this is very important. You'll see there in the secondary, reduces the spirit cost of Wave of Light by 50%. That's what makes this build work so well, because that's going to be your main attack. Reducing that by 50% allows you to just kind of spam that, and you're seeing that my spirit is not going down too quickly. And there are a couple tricks, like I said, using Sweeping Wind and some other skills there. You can get your, especially popping your Mystic Ally, that's another thing. It's on a 30-second cooldown if you do drop that. This should be coming around quick enough to where you shouldn't have any spirit issues, and you can just kind of hit that and get your spirit back. And so by the time you get back through that, you're seeing that's a pretty good cooldown. So the Diablo here is very important to make this work. You can make it work without it, however, I'm not going to recommend it. I do have another video I can put out there to kind of give you guys an idea if you're coming straight from that and you don't have this, or you're coming from the old patch. We'll go over that later. Next item, the Crudest Boots. And this is another one you'll see in the secondary. Mystic Ally summons 2 Mystic Allies that fight by your side, which is why we have 2 here. And that's very important to have there. Like I said, you get the damage increase from Unity, plus you get the extra spirit regeneration there, so it's very important there. As far as the Sunwuko pieces, shoulders, gloves, and the amulet there, and those are going to be very important pieces because you're also going to be running the Enna set, and this goes very well together because you're going to be running Enna's pants, belt, and helmet. And so you've got 2 good set pieces going here, and then you're also going to be running the Og Hills, which is another one because you get the extra damage reduction. That's good as a melee, plus you get the extra increased damage against elites, and you're going to be running bracers and a chest piece there. So that's all very important to get a very good synergy going. You run that with the Ring of Royal Grandeur, and now you have 3 set bonuses going from different sets, and that's pretty incredible there. Last up, you can use a Unity here, and make sure you have a Unity on your follower. If you don't have a Unity, if you have a Stone of Jordan, if you're running group play, you can run that, or any other ring will work just fine for you. Again, as far as the legendary gems go, the Taeguk is very important to this build. Make sure you have that on. The other one is the Bane of the Trapped, and this is also very important. Gain an aura that reduces the movement speed of enemies within 15 yards by 30%. That's great as melee, and you're going to benefit from that as well. As far as your Paragon points go, your core points, make sure your movement speed is max in conjunction with your gear. You can go ahead and put the rest into Dexterity. For your offense, cooldown reduction, crit hit damage, and then crit hit chance is a great way to go. For defense, resist all armor, and if you want to go life regen first, you can go that, or you can go life. Again, utility, this is the most important one to pay attention to. Resource cost reduction, 6.6%. Not above, not below. Keep it right there. Run it with your Ennas. Run it with everything else going on, and you're going to be in pretty good shape. Life on hit, very important. Then you can go the rest with area damage. So that's it for the build. Special shout out to Sassafras for letting me borrow his character until I get an Incense Torch. I am farming for hours all day, still can't get one. So we're using his build here. Everything else on mine looks exactly the same. We just haven't had much luck yet. So this is the build. We're going to do a little bit of gameplay, so if you guys want to keep an eye out for that, I'll show you. It's basically you're going to go in, hit Exploding Palm, tag some low health characters, and then just slam them with some Wave of Light, and you're going to see everything around it explode. So if you're cutting off here and you don't want to watch any gameplay, I appreciate you guys watching. If this build is working for you, or you have any comments you want to leave below, do that, or hit that like button. That is always appreciated. And for now, we're going to go ahead and hop in and do some gameplay for you guys so you can see this in action and see just how strong this build is, because right now, this thing is incredible. So let's get to some action. Alright, so we're going to go ahead and hop in here. Now, the hardest part about this is that it hits so hard that T6 almost is a joke. And that's the thing. You don't necessarily need to do too much Exploding Palm unless you hit some high health characters, or there are some high health characters around. For the most part, you can simply just drop your bells, and there you can see here, we'll get some elites in here. We'll tag a few of them. We don't even really need to do that. And here you can see we basically three-shotted them. I think we could have got away with two because they were still in the area of effect and still taking a ton of damage. Here's a guaranteed elite right here. Let's get this guy down. And here's what I'm talking about. I'll go ahead and tag a few things around, and that guy's actually already dead. I didn't have much of a chance to do anything to him, but as you can see, this build is absolutely incredible. There you're seeing huge crit numbers. Going through T6, this is pretty much a joke, and I wish it was a little different. I could give you guys something better to work with, but this is going to be the way it works. And like I said, if you can get everything going, make sure you're hitting your Sweeping Wind, get your Taeguks up, you're just going to do that much more damage. So that's very important there to keep that in mind. Watch this guy. He's going to go down very quickly. I'm not even going to tag anything else. We're just going straight in with bells, and we don't have to do a whole lot. So there you can see we've already cleared that bounty pretty quickly. So that's the build, guys. That is the extremely powerful lightning build using the bells and the Exploding Palm here. And like I said, we'll tag a few things, and then we'll just drop bells on this guy. And like I said, you can do this more efficiently, I promise you that much, especially when you've got stuff that actually has a decent amount of health. There you can actually see the ticking damage after we just dropped one bell in there. So that's it. As you can see, we're just absolutely walking through T6 as if it's nothing. The entire group just exploded there. This is pretty incredible. So hopefully you guys can get the torch, unlike me. Like I said, get all the set pieces together and this thing can really shine. I'll leave a little bit of information regarding the Sweeping Wind spamming button script that you can run. It's not anything high-tech or anything like that, so don't worry too much about that. If that is something you're trying to hit, those higher levels, then I don't blame you there. So that's going to be the build, guys. Keep everything going, tag it, keep your Taeguks up, keep your Sweeping Wind up for the extra resource regeneration, and you're doing alright. As always, guys, I appreciate you guys watching. Like I said, if you like the build, if you like this and it's going to work for you and this is something you want to run with, feel free to hit that like button below, or let me know what you've got going on in the comments. We've got a couple more monk videos on the way, cold and fire builds, so feel free and subscribe if you're looking forward to those. And as always, guys, thank you all for watching. Happy hunting. We'll see you next time.